was unmuted. There we go. Hey, good evening, everyone. Marshall Butler here, Rotary Public Image Coordinator for Zone 34. Thank you all for being here tonight. This is always a lot of fun. The annual Rotary Public Image Boot Camp, where we get people ready to be public image chairs for their clubs and their districts in the new Rotary year. And we had a great one last year and a lot of success this past year with seeing some great campaigns across the districts in Zone 34, and looking forward to doing it again this year. Tonight, I'm joined by my colleagues. I'm joined by Kim Walden, Kelsey Williams, also William Ennis, and the newest member of the team, Kirk Driscoll. And Kirk is joining us tonight. And let me fix something right here. There we go. I got the wrong logo on my screen. That's better. So we're going to be talking to you tonight about it's not hard to be a public image chair. First of all, as part of protocol, I would like to acknowledge Rotary International Director for Zones 33-34 for 2022, Peter Kyle. Peter, good to see you tonight. And then let's see, do we have Stephanie? Stephanie just joined us. There she is. Director Stephanie. So a real honor and treat to have our directors joining us tonight. I'm not going to admit a little bit of pressure, but I think we're going to do okay. So let's go ahead and get this started. I am going to throw up our slides over here on this slide, and we are going to share the screen. Let's see where. All right. Zoom is fighting with me tonight. Let's see, Zoom meeting. There we go, share screen. All right, good stuff. All right, so the Public Image Bootcamp for 2021, and tonight we're going to talk about what it takes to be a public image chair. But first, we always like to make sure that we share the slides so that you can watch along or follow along. Also, so you can have access to the slides after the event. There's a lot of resources that we're going to be reviewing today, and want to make sure that you have access to all of them. So if you want, go ahead and take out your phones, put your phone up to the screen with the camera, and it's going to capture that QR code and take you directly to the slide deck. So I'll give you guys a couple of minutes if you want to follow along. We'll also make sure that you guys get access to all these resources later on if you like. But that's the slide deck. But the big question is public image really important? And I think you all know that the answer to that is absolutely. It is very, very important. We know how important it is that Rotary tells the story of making a difference in our communities. We tell the story of clean water. We tell the story of eradicating polio, of peace and conflict resolution, of literacy. It is so important that we tell folks what we do both locally in our communities that we support and in communities in places that we'll never visit, we'll never see. It's so important that we know how to tell those Rotary stories, and we tell those stories on behalf of our Rotary clubs, our Rotary districts, and on behalf of Rotary in general. So we always like to throw this slide up. This is actually my club. This is the Rotary Club of West Jacksonville, Jacksonville, Florida, USA. And we always think, you know, who is responsible for public image in your club? And of course, the arrow is pointing at that fellow. That's Andrew Williams. And Andrew truly is the public image chair for the Rotary Club of West Jacksonville. But you know, Andrew can't do it all by himself. Andrew cannot do it alone. So Andrew has a team. And so he's got Joe up front, takes care of some of the photography and the video. We see Sean off to the right. She does the newsletter. And then we see Ed. Ed helps out sometimes with social media posts and posting pictures of speakers and stuff like that, people of action. And then we see Bob back there in the corner. Bob also helps out with some of the social media. So it really does take a team to do public image for a club. But it doesn't stop there. You see, everyone in the club, just like we're all responsible for membership, we're all responsible for public image, because you may not be a content creator. You may not be someone that is especially talented with a camera or with social media or maybe with you know, the newsletter or something like that. But we all have the ability to tell our stories. and to tell folks about projects that we're doing, or events that we have coming up, or sharing posts that someone else in our club is putting together, or sharing posts that Rotary International puts out on their Facebook page, or that we put on our Zones 33 and 34 pages. So it's everyone's responsibility to help with public image. And so tonight we are going to start our roadmap to the public image citation. This is an annual event where we ask people to follow a series of tasks. Every month we'll give you a new task starting in July and ask you to complete a task. And by the end of the year, what we're trying to do is create a sustainable model in every club where we teach you the practices, best practices, strategies, and methodologies to ensure that there's succession planning and year over year, that there's a good base for public image in your club. So that's another QR code that you might want to snap. On May 24th, we're going to have our next webinar. And in that webinar, we're actually going to walk you through the 21-22 public image citation for Zone 34 and kind of lay out for you all of the different tasks that we're going to ask you to complete so that you can follow the path, follow the timeline, and get that public image citation for the coming year. But it all starts with a roadmap, and we're going to start tonight. We are down there in the lower left-hand corner. That's us at X marks the spot, and we're trying to get to that public image citation. So tonight we're going to model out for you some of the best practices, strategies, and ways to organize your club to achieve that annual public image citation. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to my colleague, Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey?
Thank you. So one of the biggest things that you need to do to help build your public image is, like Marshall said, is build a team. Whether you're a small club or a large club, it is really important that there are multiple people that are in charge of this. So it doesn't matter what size you have, just the larger the club, the larger the team. But again, like Marshall said, really everybody in your club should be helping with public image. So some of the roles that we recommend are somebody specifically related to public relations. This person will send press releases. They'll invite the press to your events. Sometimes I feel like people forget, don't just send a press release, invite them, ask them to come. I think that sometimes that's often overlooked, but they'll showcase club activities and projects, and they'll make sure that it's all visible to the public. You'll have somebody that's in charge, as either a person or a committee that's in charge of the newsletter, collecting information and images, creating that newsletter, whether you do electronic or print, and then making sure that it is distributed to all members. You'll have someone in charge of photography and video, taking pictures and videos at the club events. Also, this person should be encouraging others to take pictures and videos. So making sure that all your club members are taking those so you get different perspectives, and then making sure that they're sharing those pictures with everybody else in the committee. One key person they're going to share that with is your social media person. This person, again, is going to collaborate with all members, but they're going to be in charge of making sure that you're posting 2 to 3 times per week on all your social media channels, and that you're sharing content from your members, district, and Rotary International. So keeping an eye on those other pages and your members' pages is really important, because you're going to be able to get a lot of content from those other pages. And last, maybe having a website and technology person, especially with meetings being hybrid right now, having that technology person is super important, but also making sure that your website is up to date and that you have everything on there as well is important. The key to all of these roles and to a highly effective team is collaboration, making sure that each one of these people are talking to each other and working together. Everybody always asks me, how do I pick a really good public image chair? You pick somebody that is organized, that can delegate to a team, because it really is collaborating with multiple people and making sure that everybody has all the information that they need.
And just like we said earlier, those are the primary folks that are responsible for some of the key functions in that club for public image. But again, everyone in that club has a role and has something that they can do to contribute to that club's public image. So always remember, everyone is responsible.
So one of the things that we get asked all the time as well is, what are some of the best practices, some things that we need to be doing as a public image chair or as a public image committee? Big things is just making sure that you're providing updates. This specifically could be, the monthly theme updates on your club members, anything that you can to communicate both internally, but also with the public. So some things that you can do, you can have demonstrations and trainings, not just for your public image committee members, but also for your club members. Making sure, you're inviting them to webinars like this, because like Marshall said, again, everyone's job is public image, just like it is membership. So getting your people trained and helping them understand best practices is really a good way to kind of highlight that. I really am a big fan of highlighting club members. We do one called the Member Spotlight, or we do like a hot seat. I think it's really fun because it gives you the idea of kind of getting to know your club members, and it also lets the public get to know your club members as well. Let them see the personality of your club and the people in it. We talk about always showing the impact. The foundation does some incredible things. We all know this, but showing the impact that you have on your community and on the world that we live in is extremely important. Communicating that through pictures and videos and pulling on those heartstrings, making sure that people understand, hey, Rotary has done this in my community or has done this in this country. That's extremely important. And then encouraging your members, specifically to social media, tagging and sharing. Use your members in a way to help broaden the audience of your post as you're going through social media. Creating content that instills pride in your club. We have some amazing members in our clubs. Whenever you see that somebody has maybe been in the newspaper, or if you see an accomplishment from one of your club members, share that. It's a big deal, when somebody has, done something, they've accomplished something, make sure you share that. That'll not only help that member feel that they're loved and supported by their Rotary family, but it'll showcase the community, some of the amazing things that your club members are doing.
Hey, Kelsey, on that instills pride in your club, that's also another key indicator. I'm kind of putting on my membership hat here, but when we see clubs that are starting to struggle and have problems with membership, a lot of times those members no longer have that sense of pride in their club. And we know that if we share not only the personal achievements of what those members are doing, but also the incredible achievements that club is doing locally in the community, or maybe with a global grant or something, that sense of pride in what they are doing and what their club is doing, we know that keeps people anchored to that club, and it helps with our retention rates, which we're always very keen to make sure that we're keeping those retention rates very high. So, another real big piece is internal communications and making sure that your club knows the great things that is being accomplished by that club.
Absolutely. And, the other thing I will say is I hear sometimes that smaller clubs, it's easier to do some of these things, but in my opinion, larger clubs have more of opportunity because they have so many more members. So, really just kind of digging deep and, utilize your membership chairs and other people to kind of help you find some of these opportunities for you to, post these things. So, internal communications. This is extremely important. And I think now more than ever, we have learned so many lessons on this, at least in my opinion. How you talk to your club members and how you communicate with each other is really important. But more importantly, you need to understand how they want to be communicated to. And I think that is just the first step of any kind of communication. As the public image chair or president-elect, whatever your position is, what in the world, how do I communicate with my club members? We think about when COVID started, did you do personal care calls? Did you call all your members and say, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? Did you send a text message or an email, or, how did you reach out? Figuring out how your club members communicate is really important. Some people are social media, everybody's different and every club is different, but really figuring that out is super important. I have learned some kind of best practices on this. You do have to kind of understand the quality of your messages, making sure that you're not for lack of a better term, data dumping on your club. Sometimes I see these emails that are like, long emails, and they've got everything you're doing for the next 6 months in it. And it's overwhelming and it's almost too much to read sometimes. So making sure that you're, dialing in and really selecting something that's super important when you do email out and make it clear. Everybody is really busy. So making sure that you're very clear in your communications is important. I use the example of spamming. My kids always will get spammed text messages on my phone, of course, from their friends. And so making sure that we're not doing that to our club members, is really important. But like I said, just communicating very clearly and communicating the big things that you really want them to share with others. There is a happy medium to that. So we talk about communicating change. Change is, inevitable, right? It happens, but how are we communicating change? When we look back through COVID, did you get your virtual meetings established? How did you tell everybody? Since you couldn't go to a meeting and announce it, how did you tell everybody that you are going to be adjusting your meeting schedules? How did people adapt to that change? One of the hardest parts really is, figuring that out. But one thing that I think I've learned in my business life is that sometimes you have to have an advocate for change, or you have to have a change agent. So your committee members can be those change agents. They can be people that are, strategically placed to help you communicate change. Almost like I don't want to call it old school, but almost like old school, like phone tree, right? Where you have one person that calls one person and it kind of trickles down. But that's important, actually. And I believe in that. And I think that, having people that can communicate that in different ways, but also sharing the same consistent message is really important. Looking at now, we live in a hybrid world. I didn't ever think I'd say that, but now we live in this hybrid world where it's, both. So you do have to communicate different ways. And, change is different, right? You've got some people that are maybe comfortable in person, some people that aren't. And so you kind of at this point are in the middle, I feel, in a lot of places where you do have to kind of communicate in multiple different ways. So I will say, losing or trying not to lose that personal aspect while also communicating digitally is really important. And I do think that COVID has helped us along in terms of how we communicate and learning a little bit of, how to communicate virtually. That may be just a underlying something that we found from that. But I do believe that, we're better equipped to communicating this change, now. So if anything, comes up in clubs in the future, we can definitely communicate change a little bit quicker.
That's a great point, Kelsey. And, as you guys registered for this webinar tonight, we asked many of you to provide any sort of questions or things that you would like covered. And we are still getting a lot of people asking us to cover streaming and more coverage of streaming technology. I know many of you are going to continue to do the hybrid meetings. And I think it's fantastic that we're making these changes because it's going to be fantastic that we're going to be able to continue to engage Rotarians no matter where they are, whether it's a work-life balance that they can't get to meetings regularly, or maybe they're sick or ill, or maybe they're traveling. But we're going to be able to continue to use streaming technologies to maintain our membership and our retention again. And we are going to add some more of our streaming webinars to the calendar. We know that many of you are still interested in best practices for that. So when Kelsey mentioned the hybrid stuff, that certainly triggered that reminder that I got muted somewhere. All right. So carrying on the roadmap to the PI citation. So we've now looked at putting together our public image team and effective ways to communicate internally and communicate change. And next up, we need to conduct a club public image audit. And many folks on this webinar tonight were a part of this process last year. This was the first task for the 2020-2021 public image citation, was to put together this public image audit. And we're gonna do that again this year. We got some really great content from everyone where folks went and they looked at all their different social media channels and their websites and stuff like that, and kind of created a list. And it's very important to document and understand where's your website hosted. Is it like on GoDaddy, or is it DACDB, or is it another host like SiteGround? Who controls the domain? I remember a club a few years ago. It was time to renew the domain for the website, and no one knew who owned it and what email address was associated with that account. And it took quite a bit of effort to find out who controlled that domain so that they could then renew the website. One of the really important things, and I know we've talked about this quite a bit, is who remembers the passwords. Tracking all those passwords for all the different websites and social media channels. And I've mentioned this story before, but I know of a club that unfortunately they had a member take a password to the grave, and no one had it backed up. And it took a bit of work with Facebook, but they were able to get it. And you just, luckily for Facebook groups and pages now, you can have multiple admins, so that makes it a bit easier. But one of the best practices, and one of the things that we do on the Zone 34 public image team, is we use some shared email addresses so that we all have access to those accounts. And if we need to reset the password, we can, and we're all notified that that password was reset. So maybe look at a club Gmail account that's controlled by your club secretary and a couple of other folks on the board, just so that you can have those contingency plans in place in case someone leaves the club and takes the password with them, or someone forgets the password and you can't get into your website anymore. One of the other important things as you do this club audit is think about your club information. So many clubs in the past year are no longer meeting regularly at the place that they were meeting, the physical location, or maybe they're now starting to go back, but it's not every week or every other week. Maybe it's once a month. So make sure anywhere that you list any sort of club information, whether it's the meeting time, the meeting place, the meeting frequency, the phone number to contact someone at the club, look for all that club information, all the different places on the website, and make sure it's up to date, so that folks, if they're interested in attending or joining or visiting, they know how to find your club and how to contact you. One of the most important things, of course, is the logo usage. We talk about that quite a bit. We know how important it is to ensure the Rotary brand is very distinct, it's respected, and it's protected. And so we need to make sure that the logos are being used appropriately. We're not doing anything cute or clever with our master brand, that we use it appropriately and according to the visual identity guidelines that Rotary puts out. Of course, you can always go back. We did a webinar a couple of months ago. It was called the Check Yourself webinar, where we went through all the different uses of the Rotary logo, and we showed you a lot of the inappropriate uses and how not to use the Rotary wheel as a Frisbee, or a rising sun across the ocean, or a turkey feather, or there's all sorts of ways that the Rotary master brand has been used. One of the other things you can do is also go to Google and type in "Telling Rotary Story." If you do that, the first result is going to be the PDF that you can download from Rotary.org, and it's going to have all those guidelines. So Google "Telling Rotary Story," and you'll get that download immediately. And speaking of logos, this past year, the 2019-2020 Board of Directors, Rotary Board of Directors, they requested that all districts comply with Rotary's visual brand standards by June 30 of last year. And I know that Rotary's club and district support team was working with all the districts that maybe needed some additional encouragement or education on how to use the Rotary logo appropriately for their website. Well, that was last June. Let's fast forward 1 year, and here we are. I don't know if any of you all received this letter recently from President Holger and President-elect Shekhar, but this letter talks about the use of the logo, and now we're asking clubs to make sure that they're using the logos appropriately. So, William, I'll let you speak to a little bit about the Rotary logo usage.
Yes, so this is the Rotary logo usage. Essentially is there's a guideline called the Voice and Visual Identity Guidelines, which we would encourage you to get from RI on the Brand Center. So if you do not have that, we can share a link with you in the chat today so that you can have access to the guidelines from RI. But essentially, we're encouraging all clubs, Rotaract Interact as well, to make those changes. We've been talking for, I think, since I've been a Rotarian, essentially, about changing these logos to the master brand. And we want to see more clubs adopt that. And I know most of the districts in zone 33 and 34 are doing very well in adopting it. We want to see more of that. So that's all we have at the moment.
Yeah, and if you didn't get the letter from President Holger and President-elect Shekhar, that link right there, www.rotaryshares.org/embrace the logo, will take you directly to that letter so you can read it. And it's well done, and kind of explains why we need to make sure that we do this. One of the other things that we do an audit for is we want to make sure that we don't have the zombie social accounts wandering around. As I mentioned, it's important to check your club information to make sure that it's accurate on all the different social properties that are out there. And sometimes these zombie accounts, someone with really good intentions, someone very earnest and excited about a new social platform, maybe it was TikTok, Kelsey, maybe it was MySpace back in the day, or AOL, but they created these accounts and maybe did the post and ghost and got really excited for a month and hasn't posted anything in the last 10 years. And you need to find those things. Do some Google searching for your own club name and find those accounts and see what you can do to make sure that they're either shut down or they're merged with your current accounts, so that we don't have these accounts that are just kind of tumbleweeds rolling in the wind. So it's always important to make sure you're checking all the various properties that you use as a club.
Marshall, I got a question. Maybe you can share with us why it's important to get rid of the zombie accounts versus just leaving them there.
Well, first of all is, you don't want to provide any erroneous information. Clubs move around. The other is it might affect, people might like that and think that they have found your club and found a source of information about your club. And it just, they're going to be disappointed, I guess, because they're never going to see an update from you or your club. So those are two of the top reasons I can think of. Kelsey, you have any others?
Well, I was kind of thinking about an experience I had where I actually was looking for a new club when I first moved to a different state, and I researched all the clubs based on their social media pages. And you're right, you do kind of look for specific events or things that you're interested in, and maybe that's how people select the clubs that they want to join or not. And you might be missing out on potential members because your Facebook page or whatever it is stagnant and doesn't have any relevant information, but you might be the perfect club for somebody. So I would say that for sure.
Absolutely. There are so many people out there that reach out to Rotary every day. I know through our lead generation program at Rotary.org, they're submitting leads to us and we don't follow up. And so that's a public image problem. So we need to make sure that people can find us, or if they do find us, that we follow up and respond to them, because there's a lot of Rotarians out there that aren't Rotarians yet. They are Rotarians, they just don't know it. So we need to find those folks and help them find their home. So that's a great point, Kelsey. Another thing that came up quite a bit as you folks were registering for this was statistics and demographics on the various public image channels or social media channels. And if you take a look at that link at the bottom, rotaryshares.org/2021 social demographics, the Pew Research Center just released these about 2 weeks ago. They released the latest demographics for the various social media channels. Key takeaways, if you take a look at these, 81% of Americans are using YouTube. We know video is super important, and it's evidenced by the number of folks that go to YouTube to find content. And that's an 8% growth year over year. So YouTube continues to see a growing trend with folks using it. We know that 69% of all Americans are using Facebook, but that growth has been stagnant since 2016. So they've kind of hit a plateau, and people are still looking at other channels like YouTube or Instagram or Twitter or even TikTok and things like that. Those channels do trend younger. We know that Instagram trends younger, and it's a higher utilization with women and minorities, specifically African Americans and Hispanic Americans. 52% of African American, or 52% of Hispanic Americans and 49% of African Americans are using Instagram. Only 35% of white Americans are using Instagram. So if you're looking for diversity in your clubs, looking for new membership opportunities, Instagram is a great place to go to get those younger, more diverse members that can help make your club reflect the community that you serve. Interesting tip here, and I know I keep picking on Kelsey with this one, but we did find out that 4% of Americans over the age of 65 are using TikTok, and I want to meet that 4% because they are awesome. So here we go. We did our roadmap. We made our PI team, got our public image team put together. We've done an audit. We know what social media channels we're on. We know whether we need to get rid of some channels. We know the channels that we might need to target going forward, where we might find those new members that we want in our club. So next up is, it's always important to kind of plan your work. Plan your work, work your plan, right? Kind of chunk your work and know what you're going to do throughout the year. So to do that, we put together a content calendar. And so that was something that was one of the tasks this past year, and it'll be a task again this year, because it is so important that you kind of identify those opportunities to talk about your club and plan ahead so that it's not a surprise, 1 week where you need to put some content out there. You kind of already have it planned out. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to you, Kim. Did we lose Kim?
Thanks, guys.
Oh, there you are. Hey.
Well, there I am.
There you go.
Sorry about that, guys.
No worries.
Showing you what not to do, right? I'm there for you. So we're talking about the content, the editorial calendar, and chunking your work, planning ahead a month or two. Don't procrastinate, because it's really easy to have something slip by. The nice thing that you can do is just to set up months down the line what's going to happen next. So you've got the Rotary calendar that tells you all the different themes for the month, and you can use those to plan out what you've got ahead of you. So when you know that you've got a big fundraiser, a World Polio Day is coming up, or you've got, the end of the year wrap up, then you can go ahead and you can get all of those things set out on your calendar, share those with all the team members that have something to do with that particular one, and make sure that the content's there, it's out there on your social media network, and that everyone's ready to deliver all of those pictures and project images so that it's covered for your club. And it really makes a difference to put it out on all of your social media sources and just splash it out there.
Yeah, and Kim is one of the key contributors to our Rotary Zones 33-34 Facebook page, our group. And so if you're ever looking for content that maybe you don't have anything going on in your club, shame on you, but maybe there's been a dry spell on your Facebook page, you can always go to that Facebook group, and she curates some pretty amazing content across all the Rotary channels. Plus, I know she looks at many of the clubs and districts at their content and shares it up on the zone page as well. Plus, she puts all those Feed 10 Million postings up there too. So, Kim, I know you looked today. How many meals have we served so far? We're getting what, 3 to 4 million?
4,800,000.
All right, that's just incredible.
It's amazing.
Rotarians are people of action. So yeah, so go ahead and plan out that editorial campaign or calendar. Know, in 1 month what you're going to post in the next month, and just have that work chunked out and ready to go. You know, we always talk about how much we love Canva. That's one of the other great things about Canva with the pro account. Only $10 a month, but you can also set a content calendar within Canva and schedule posts to go out, you know, every Monday or every Tuesday. You can set that schedule, kind of set it and forget it, and make your job a lot easier using something like a Canva editorial calendar and schedule those posts. So here we go. We're halfway there. We've got the team, got the audit, got the calendar. And so now we need to learn from others. Kelsey, what you got here?
So learning from other people is super important. I don't know exactly where Marshall learned the R&D, but it's Rotary, rip off, duplicate.
That came from past District Governor Diane Knight from Fort Collins, Colorado. So I ripped off and duplicated that and need to share and give credit where credit is due.
Nice. Well, you know, it's important because we have to understand, first and foremost, we don't have all the ideas. Everybody wants to be creative. Everybody wants to do something cool, but we can gain our inspiration from others. So when you look and see somebody else on social media that's doing something that you really like, you know, go ahead and use it, right? Ask for permission if they're maybe a professional, or give credit like Marshall just did. Give credit to somebody where credit is due, but don't be afraid to get inspired by what other people are doing. Again, you know, go to some training events, learn some different resources. We talk about Canva all the time because it is an incredible, incredible resource. And then also looking at social media, RI resources and other organizations. Utilize the people and the resources that you have. I think about, you know, individuals like Rotaractors or Interactors, you know, utilize them, reach out to them, say, hey, I see that you're doing this. It's amazing. Can you help me out? Can you show me what I need to be doing? People love to, you know, love to help each other out. So make sure you're learning from other people.
Kim, that's you. Yeah.
All right. So as you can see, we've got an awful lot of great webinars that we've done. So one of the ones that we did was streaming techniques. Now this is the one that we had such a big crowd for. And it basically told everyone all about the best settings and equipment to use for, and some advanced techniques for streaming. And of course, we all know how important that is right now. Check yourself. That was a fun webinar that we talked about Rotary branding guidelines. And like Marshall mentioned earlier, we shared some branding images that shouldn't have been out there. We talked about how to best showcase the Rotary image. And that's super important for us to all be on the same page with that. The How the Heck webinar, we had all kinds of things on that: QR codes, content calendars, how to create memes, how to automate content. We talked about the Feed 10 Million, how to create hashtags and Zoom virtual backgrounds. So all of those things were pretty informative. If you're looking for content, that was a good one. Hashtags was another one that we did. What are they? How do they work? Why are they so important to use? Then we did Rotary Needs video. And that just basically discussed the best platforms for which kind of content. We covered Canva, hands-on tutorial for Canva. We did a World Polio Day, how to celebrate World Polio Day. We had all kinds of tips and resources. And then we did a Meet the Team. So we talked about all of the PI citations and the tools that would be used for the coming year. So really important for you to jump on the Zone 34 Facebook page to make sure that you're getting this content and that you're staying on our page so you don't miss anything that's coming up.
Yeah, and you know, we have provided a lot of the content for these webinars. We've also asked folks at the club and district level to participate and to join us on these. And we're always looking for folks. I've used this joke a couple of times. If anyone tells you they know everything about public image or social media, you remind them of the four-way test, because they're not telling the truth. Our Zone 34 public image team We know a lot of this. A lot of us work in the marketing industry, so we've got a lot of experience, but we don't know it all. And we know that some clubs and districts are doing incredible things, and we're always looking for opportunities to elevate and know what's happening at the club level, the success that you're having. So if you have an idea for a webinar, or if you have if you want to participate and help us with the webinar, please let us know. I'm putting in the chat right now the link to all the past webinars, so you can go look at those. Actually, I think I put it in the waiting room, and nobody's in the waiting room right now. That didn't work. So I'll drop it in. We'll just keep going. We'll get the link to all the past webinars to you. But again, just want to make it clear that you are going to be supported, and we're going to provide training every month that's going to help support you in this role as a public image chair. But it's not just content from your public image team, but there's also other content, Kim.
So Canva is one of our favorite things. I'm just going to say, I'm going to sound like an infomercial here for just a minute. We talk a lot about Canva, but it's because it's been a really great tool for us. And you don't have to worry about, oh, a graphic design program, I don't have those skill sets, because Canva gives you so many tutorials. It lets you create everything from posters to flyers to presentations. You can even make cards, Facebook covers, Facebook posts, newsletters, t-shirts. I mean, there's no end to all the things that you can do. And if you connect your accounts, you can actually share your content directly to your Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Plus, it lets you collaborate with your team members. And that's what we do on every Canva piece that we work on. So you can share that file. You can even work on Canva from your phone. So not everything is that user-friendly from phones, but Canva is. And best of all, nonprofits can get Canva Pro for free. So there's no end to what you can accomplish and how great you can make your club look if you use Canva. So infomercial over.
Yeah, it was pretty funny yesterday working on the slide deck, and Kelsey was popping in and out, and Kim was in and out, and then William joined in, and I'm working on one slide, and all of a sudden Kelsey pastes her little Bitmoji right in the middle of the screen, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of jumped. It was a little bit scary, Kelsey, but just think about that real-time collaboration of slide decks. So if you have a team and you don't want to pass the PowerPoint back and forth, just make sure everyone has access to that slide deck, and in real time, people can collaborate and comment with each other. So Canva has been a big part of our team, and we have a really good time with it. Kelsey, you're back up again.
I can imagine. I think I used my silly face emoji at first and then changed it out last minute. So it probably was really creepy too. So this is talking a little bit about succession planning. And before I get into this, I have to give a big shout out to 6910, District 6910. They do a killer job. They have last year or this year, they set up a really good public image committee. Every single role that we kind of went through earlier, they have people underneath there that are supporting them. Brandy did a fantastic job of getting all that situated. And Mark, who I think is on this call, I could be wrong, but I think I saw him commenting some stuff. You know, he's going to be taking over next year, but they have done an amazing job at succession planning. One of the things that they did that I think is super important is that you have somebody who's on your committee be the next person who takes over as chair. I find a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, it's my third or fourth year being the public image committee chair. You know, that's great. You're good at what you're doing, but it's really important also to make sure that you're not burning yourself out and that you're trying new things and you're encouraging other people to kind of step up and try new things as well. And so I look at this, one of the biggest things is making sure that you're finding people that are passionate and skilled at public image things. And again, the main committee person is just finding somebody who is extremely organized and somebody that can help delegate all of these tasks. But finding those people that are passionate about it. And when you found it, you got it, man. It's like sweet success when you get somebody and a team that's working together, well-oiled machine-like. It works so well. But succession planning keys are planning ahead of time, ensuring success for the Rotary year upcoming and not just success for this year. So start your succession planning early. If you're, maybe you're not on the boat and you're a team of one right now, build your team and then start planning for next year as you're building your team. Put those things in place so that the person behind you, the person that comes in after you, has it easier than you did. That's going to be, really important to make sure that you're moving forward and that you're encouraging other people to come in. Understanding that cross-training people on your team is also really important, especially, I've learned this, especially as it relates to technology. Your tech people oftentimes get very overwhelmed, especially right now, right? And, as somebody, I would say, it's super, super important that more than one person knows how to do things. Make sure more than one person knows how to run, a Zoom meeting or, something like that. Make sure that more than one person knows how to update your website. I see somebody else, a team of one. I've been there. It's really, really hard. And so making sure that you're not just a team of one, but also cross-training, making sure that other people know how to do that as well is really, really important. And also, if something ever happens, you don't get left in the dark if you've cross-trained people, right? And if you are, sometimes a team of one, unfortunately, it kind of gets thrown back on you, and so you don't want that to happen. So making sure that there's multiple people out there that do that is really important. It also gives you an environment of learning, and I feel like that's really important. I'm working with, a team that's coming up with these interns, and I feel like I'm learning more than these interns are. I mean, I know they're learning a lot, but I feel like I'm learning just as much from them. And so it's really a great feeling to know that I'm helping them learn something new, but also they're helping me. So I would definitely encourage that as well, foster that environment of learning. It'll spark new leaders in your club. There are people in your club that probably, maybe want to go into Rotary leadership and they just don't know where to get started, or nobody's asked them. So they're just kind of sitting back, just like we talk about asking people to join. Ask people to be in leadership, ask people to participate in your committee. That's super important. And again, you'll find people that you didn't even know are there. I talked a little bit about finding the passions and creating new opportunities for people. I had one person, I was asking him, so tell me a little bit about what you're interested in. And she's like, oh, I'm a graphic designer on the side. I had no idea. I've known her for like several years and I had no clue. And I kind of felt like, oh, wow, how did I not know that? That's amazing. Tell me a little bit more about it. But now she has this, this unique opportunity to add even more value to the club. And it's something that I've known her for years and I had no idea. So shame on me, but ask those questions, figure out what people are passionate about. And I know I've seen in the chat several times, we've also talked about it. They've had Facebook pages or Gmail accounts or old club accounts that they can't get access to. I know it's super frustrating when you do have that happen. And I know sometimes you don't get a real person on the other end. So, trying as best you can to facilitate that or, shut it down like we talked about, but doing that account management and that audit during that handoff is really, really important. I think it was Mark, somebody asked for a checklist, an audit checklist. That is definitely something that we can put in our resources or put together. I know we have another upcoming webinar that's going to talk about some of the things for the citation, but that will be in the citation to make sure that you are doing that audit and that handoff for the next year, just because it is so important. So stay tuned for maybe a checklist on that. I might have just delegated something to myself on accident, but that happens occasionally. But that is really important to make sure that we do that. And also, we talked about updating and make sure that you cross-train, but make sure you don't have too many people. On the flip side, there is that happy medium. I recently had an experience in my own club where I went and they were asking me to help them update the website. We couldn't figure out how to update it. And when we opened it up, we realized that there was like 25 people that could update the website. They all had access to update it and nobody knew how to update it. Nobody even knew they had access, but everybody could do it. There's only 35 people in my club, so almost everybody. So you want to make sure that situations like that don't happen, because you maybe then will have some, accidental updates or whatever that happens. So continuing year over year that you're reevaluating it, and it's not just an audit once every 5 years. It's every single year we're making this change, we're making this audit, and putting a clear plan in place. Document your strategy for succession planning. At this time, we're going to identify our next person. At this time, we're going to go through and do all of our audits. At this time, we're going to actually transition our accounts. I mean, be super clear about it. Make it as easy as possible for the next person. And then transitioning those permissions again is going to be your last step to hand off.
Great stuff, Kelsey. And as soon as Kelsey is done with that audit checklist, we will be adding it to the toolkit. We have put a lot of resources together up here at www.rotaryshares.org/toolkit. We have the link to the brand guidelines, the link to the current theme logo, the link to the brand center where you download the Rotary master brand, links to the templates to create your club newsletter, your club logo, resources and information about our team, how to contact us. So go to www.rotaryshares.org/toolkit. And very soon you'll see that audit checklist that Kelsey's going to be working on tonight as soon as we're done with this. But anyway, Kelsey does great work. So let's take a look. So we have got our team, we've done our audit, put together a calendar. We've learned from all sorts of resources, including your Zone 34 public image team. We opened up the toolkit, we took some action. So it's time to prepare and be ready to get that public image citation and all the glory that surrounds it. So what's it going to take? Well, like I mentioned, on May 24th, we're going to walk you through all the tasks for the coming year. We're going to have them on a page so you can plan out your work. We're going to help you plan your work. And so go ahead and register for that webinar. We'll make sure that we'll be sending out a recording to this webinar tomorrow. And in that email that has the recording, we'll make sure that you have a link to register for the May webinar as well, where we navigating the public image citation is what we're calling it. So we'll have it there. But as we talk about all of the great stuff that we're doing with public image, there's one overarching thing that we need to make sure that we address in everything that we do. And that is, we always want to be mindful of the Rotary action plan that has been put in place by Rotary leadership. We want to make sure that everything that we do ties back to this action plan. Kim? Do we need to unmute Kim? I think we might have lost Kim. Anyway, I put a link down there at the bottom where you can read the action plan on the Rotary website. I put a quick link there. There's Kim. Hey, Kim.
Hey, guys. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. Anyone who's taken part in Rotary knows that our organization is so much more than a collection of clubs. It's the force that puts millions of other people who share our beliefs in making the world a better place. And it connects us with all the different ways to make a difference and the networks of people that will make that difference. So that's why the action plan has been put in place. And Rotary obviously is not the same as what it was when it began in 1905. Demographics have shifted, the pace of change has accelerated, technology, you've got new opportunities for connection and service. But what hasn't changed is the need for values that define Rotary: the fellowship, the integrity, the diversity, the service, and the leadership. So with this new plan, we want to honor our past and embrace our future, and we want to make sure that Rotary thrives and is relevant. So the new action plan is the recipe for transformation, and that's going to be going through 2024. And that is using the people of action. So there's 4 pieces to the people of action: increase impact, because people of action are effective problem solvers; expand our reach, because people of action activate and inspire each other; and enhance participation and engagement, because people of action strive to understand the needs of others. And finally, we want to increase our ability to adapt, because people of action are inventive and resilient. So that's why it's really important to have a people of action plan to make sure that we are all on the same page and putting forth that message in all the ways that we do our work. And there's a bunch of resources that you can get to, everything from a flyer to a planning guide to what clubs can do, and there's even a presentation. So all of this is on the Rotary Learning Center, some of it, and also on RI, of course. But that's why we think that it's important that you know what Rotary's plan is and how you can help your club showcase that plan.
Great stuff, Kim. You know, as we tie it all together, we're at 6:55. I want to share this quote with you. And this was a quote that I attended a conference in Boston a couple of years ago. And this fellow, Scott Harrison, he is the founder and CEO of Charity Water, shared with us. And it was a quote from a newspaper. And the quote was, "As I looked at charities, I saw bad websites. I saw anemic brands." Nick Kristof had written the New York Times that people are peddling toothpaste with more sophistication than all the world's life-saving causes. And where was the Nike, the Apple, the Virgin? Where were those imaginative, inspiring charities? You know, we talk about the Rotary brand and the wheel and the master brand and how important it is, but the Rotary brand is also what we do and the experience that you have and the impact that we have on the world. And I think as people of action, as public image chairs, we need to be consistently mindful and thinking about how can we make the Rotary experience the most amazing experience for everyone that comes into contact with us? How can every time someone sees that Rotary wheel, they know that there's going to be something amazing. There's going to be something that is just, that changes the world. And that's our job as the public image chairs of our clubs, our district, for the zone, is to think of those creative, innovative, new ways to tell the Rotary story through social media, through storytelling, through photography, through video. Let's think of the ways that we can create the Rotary brand that we know people need to think about. Not just that wheel, but the experience that people have when they interact with Rotary. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. This is our team. Kelsey's down there in the bottom corner. Kelsey rolls off this year. Kelsey has served on this team for 3 years and has been an amazing assistant Rotary Public Image Coordinator, but she's not going anywhere. It's kind of like Hotel California. You check in, but you can't check out, right? Or is that Roach Motel? I can't remember. But anyway, Kelsey, we know you're not going anywhere, and we're looking forward to you continuing to help support our team. But we have William is down in the Cayman Islands. He supports 7000, 7020, and 7030. Kim Walden is based out of Thomasville, Georgia, and helps support 6940, 6900, 6910, 6920. Kirk Driscoll is the newest member of our team. He's a current district governor based in the Atlanta area, Rotary 6900. And we're excited to have him join the team and to help share some of his great marketing and creative social media ideas with us. But we know he has quite a bit of work to wrap up with his district governor year. And then there's my contact information. And, you know, we're not just organized by geography anymore. In the past, it was always kind of the way that you would organize your team by geography. But we know that the pandemic has taught us that geography means nothing. So if you want any of this team to speak to your club, I don't care where you are on earth, except breakfast meetings. Kelsey never can make it up before for breakfast meetings. So unless they meet at noon, but we will be at your meeting to present, to talk about public image, to talk about telling the Rotary story. Please reach out to us and ask us how we can help support your club or your district. We're a resource for you, and we're here to support you. And we've had a fantastic Rotary year this past year, 2020 to 21. Looking forward to amazing things in 21 to 22, and looking forward to you all joining us on this journey. So with that, we are right at 6:59. Did we have any questions or anything in the QA, William, that we need to address?
Not particularly, but I would invite anybody who has any questions, so please feel free to ask them before we wrap up.
Yep. So just to reiterate, we'll send out an email tomorrow with the link to the recording, so you can watch it again. We'll also make sure that we have links to all the various things that we discussed tonight in that email as well. Plus, we'll have the link to register for next month's webinar at the same time. So, and the slides will be available too. So we'll make sure we get all those resources to you in that email tomorrow. All right.
That's it.
No questions. Well,
I have a
everyone,
question
oh,
from
yeah.
Rotary Club of East Nassau.
Yeah. Hey, Adrian.
How are you doing?
Excellent.
That was great. What's the preferred length of a project video to be shared on Rotary Showcase? What's the recommended length of something for social media? I think is generally about 1 minute. But
yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what the Rotary Showcase rules are, but we actually, Kelsey is going to be wrapping up an email that we're going to be getting out. And as we wrap up this Rotary year, we're going to put together a quick video contest for the zone. And our rule is we don't want to see anything over 30 seconds. People just don't have the attention span anymore. You know, it's squirrel, shiny object. So we know that 30 seconds is going to be ideal. And as we put the rules out for that, we are looking for the first 2 to 3 seconds, 3 to 4 seconds. We want to see how you're going to hook us and get our attention so that we don't keep scrolling through that social media feed. So 30 seconds, we want you to hook us in the first 3 to 4. But the most important thing is we want to see a call to action. We want to see we want to ask people to either attend a meeting, participate in a service project, come to a fundraiser, but we want to see that call to action so people know what that logical next step is. So be looking for that video or email coming out soon with that video contest. We've seen way too many 2 to 3 minute slideshows set to sleepy music. And we're ready to see, people of action with energizing music and a call to action. Good question.
Marshall,
Hey,
I'm
thank-
expecting to see Liz. Liz is on TikTok. I'm expecting her to submit a video from TikTok.
I saw that in the chat. Yep. Liz, we're looking forward to that TikTok. That's awesome. Any other questions? Well, again, on behalf of the Zone 34 Public Image team, want to thank you all for joining us tonight and participating in this. Look forward to working alongside you all as we tell Rotary's story and as we demonstrate the ways that we're going to make a change and change the world by being people of action. Good night, everyone. Look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care.